town government. I mean, there's a lot of us that have lived here a long time. We've been good stewards of the land, and we feel, we just feel like we've been dealt a bad blow, you know, so. And unfortunately, it went to town, these things, I love town meetings, I love the way the government is, but things can happen really fast with misinformation. And once the vote is done, you've done things to people that can't be undone easily. So I agree with John almost completely on what he said. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll go to old business. We had previously discussed the final review, the bylaws and policies of the select board. And so we were going to do one final review. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to review the notes that were taken previously. If there's any discussion you want to have?
Yeah, I was gonna make one suggestion I had mentioned, but I reread it and I like the wording in there. It looks fine to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also think the content was good.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw a few grammatical things that we need to fix, I think, and
Do you want to, could we discuss those now so we can make those? And I think the intent was to present this at our next meeting. I forgot the date, May 14th.
yeah,
And vote on it then, so if we could make the changes now.
okay. Do you want to give your input, Heather, and then I'll?
I'm comfortable with the changes that we've already made so far.
Okay. And I did have a short conversation with Joe this morning, and he was happy with the way things were set up in this document, and so am I, so. Do you want to do that? Would it make sense to just email those changes?
Yeah, yep.
If it's just grammatical, are we comfortable with that?
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
All right. So then, I think at our next meeting, we'll review those and hopefully have a vote to enact those bylaws. Right, and so now we'll move on to new business. Steve Sinisi, am I saying that correctly?
Yep.
All right, and so you're representing local farmers and you're here to present the Maine Agricultural Working Group Charter for the town of Durham. So
Correct.
come on, have a seat. Have you all, do you have a?
I see.
Everyone has it? Everyone has had a chance to?
Yep.
to look at it? Okay. So, my name is Steve Sinisi. I own and operate Old Crow Ranch on the Davis Road, and I am also the chair of the board for the Androscoggin Valley Soil and Water Conservation District. In 2018, the town passed a comprehensive plan, which I sat on the board, or on the committee that formed that comprehensive plan, and was asked to be on that for someone to represent agriculture in town, since that is a part of our town and it is part of comprehensive plans. And so, if you know, that includes the goal to create a farming, forestry, and advisory board. Originally, I had asked that ag and forestry kind of be separated. I feel like they are always kind of grouped into one, and I don't have anything to do with forestry, and they don't have anything to do with agriculture. So it is a product. We produce products from nature. There were certain land use ordinances that we were trying to figure out could be the future to help support local farms. So in the comp plan, it says certain things that we would like to see, but nothing has been done with that at this point, obviously. So that's why we have been meeting to try to figure out starting this, calling ourselves kind of a working group to start, because that makes more sense to start with instead of a commission or a committee or any of this kind of stuff. We have held 2 of these meetings so far, had some really nice turnout with citizens that are interested in what would happen with ag in this town. We have farmers that have come, we have retired farmers that are there. And then out of that, we have put together this draft going off of, and help me here, Thatcher from Maine Farmland Trust is here this evening. He is also kind of helping support us in this because it is now spring and very busy. And so he is a complete resource that is helping, especially today, in getting our meetings going and stuff. So with that, the town of Winslow was the first town in Maine to create an agricultural working committee, I think. And so we looked at their kind of charter, and another town, what was the other town?
I think Jonah built in portions of what you all did with the Durham Conservation Commission as well, so you used
Right.
that as a framework.
Right, so we kind of came up with a draft using those examples and then kind of spread it around for comments and then came up with what you were given. I think in there you can see what our potential purpose is, how we plan to organize in membership, and then how we hope to have the roles and responsibilities. At this point, all we have pretty much put together is this draft and then kind of our own semi-bylaws of how we would like to work with each other, you know? And that's about as far as we are. I think the benefit in forming this working group is so that people with ag lands that are either farming it or have people farming it or are interested in, there's someone to help have a voice in saying on how ordinances and stuff are presented. Currently, right now as it stands, which I've been in front of the planning board for multiple things, I'm kind of just like a contractor. And that's a little hard at times to try to meet all that stuff. The big one for us, because we were interested in it, was diversifying what we do into some ag tourism, which there was no definition. I sat with the planning board for an hour and a half, literally, and they were like, we don't know what to do with you. Because I am also the first conserved farmland in the town of Durham, which means I have already put my own limitations on, so it will be there in perpetuity. My apologies. So that is something that I hope that this working group can kind of be a voice, but also somewhere a sounding board for planning board, selectmen, all kinds of parts of town government to kind of come to us with things and say, hey, what do you think of this? Or how would this affect? And then we can kind of work with the citizens invested in that and come with proposals or advice or help, is what I'm hoping. So to give you a very detailed kind of overview of what we're doing, but then also didn't know if you had any questions as well.
So I'll open it up. Does anybody have any questions?
I always have questions.
Go for it.
So you touched on the comprehensive plan,
Yes.
and one of the roles that's established in the comprehensive plan is a commission or a committee around
Right.
agriculture. And
Correct.
so I heard you say, I think I heard you say that this was, are you looking for this to take on that role that's outlined? Or is this the beginning of that and then you're hoping to move towards that?
I would think it would be smart for us to start as a group and work towards a committee or a commission.
Okay,
Kind of following in the steps of getting organized, having a plan, right? Like, what are we interested in doing as farmers or people with ag lands in this town? So, yeah.
okay. And then I think that the timing of this is great in terms of the fact that we just approved at town meeting to codify our land use ordinance. And so there, we will see a lot of changes coming just from like grammatical and, you know, that
Right.
type of stuff, but I think the timing is appropriate for
Right.
this to happen because all of those changes are going to be taking place.
Correct.
And then my only other thing that I wanna say right now is that, under the organization and membership part,
Yeah.
section A, the agricultural working group shall be comprised of 5 to 12 members approved for 3-year terms by the select board.
Yes.
So I think we do need to have a conversation about whether or not, I just wanna make sure we're doing things in the right order. If, as a select board, we're approving, I would prefer that that says appointing, because that's what all the other processes go through, is the application, and then the select
Right.
board appoints the members. But then I feel like we're getting into establishing what the comprehensive plan is asking us to do in terms of a committee, the way we just did with the solid waste, or we did with
Correct.
the Union Church. So I appreciate that you're trying to organize, I just think
Right.
that maybe that's gonna get convoluted, and maybe right from the get-go, we should be just trying to meet those marks that the comprehensive plan outlines
Right.
for us. But I
And
think
that's
that's up for
doable.
discussion.
It's more, us wanting to make sure we're able to fulfill that, right? Like, I don't wanna, I know as a group, we were like, slow and steady, right? Cause number one, a lot of us on there are farmers, or there's other parts of life that are getting very, 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 very busy right now.
Right.
So, it's hard. So I hear that, and I will absolutely, we can discuss that for sure, but that does make sense, you saying that, yeah.
Anything else?
The only thing I was gonna say is, so it sounds like you already might have some recommendations, and adjustments maybe for comp plan and ordinances. Is that a true statement? Or
I wouldn't
based
say-
on your experiences already dealing with the ordinances, are there things that,
I wouldn't say we have suggestions. What we did do is we took, in exercise, we took those parts of the comprehensive plan, kind of put them out, and the wonderful little sticker thing where you go around and say, I'm interested in this, I'm interested in this, I'm interested in. So we kind of nailed down like 3 things that we would be interested in to start, not knowing what that really means yet. But I wouldn't say we have any suggestions at this point. We are just formulating what we're interested in starting to work on for the town.
I mean, my thought is that if they had suggestions now, that when we have our meeting with the
Right.
heads in 2 weeks, or we.
Correct. We were
that
kind
we
of given
could-
all that information, and it was like,
Well,
whoa,
just-
you know, we gotta
But we
just-
could at least put it on the
Yes.
agenda, or on items to go look at, especially
Right.
with the codification and other
Which
ordinances
I
that will come
think
up.
we
Because we
would-
only usually tackle X number every,
Right. Which I think we would be more than
Yeah.
willing to share our ideas at this point, but they're simply ideas,
okay,
right?
that's fine.
No, I have no questions.
So, I think it's a great idea, before I,
No,
no? So,
Is there a chance to ask Chair? What's the process here?
no, I think based on, we have Mr. Sinisi is sort of the limited presenter tonight,
Right, okay.
so.
I guess I just wanted to preface to Steve about definitions. That's something of what we were interested in discussing.
Right, so that would be,
Establishing the definitions according to the ordinance.
So,
one of our suggestions
Yeah.
would be that, correct?
so I think this is a place for us to start. And I think it's incumbent on us to get together and present this. And what you've done is given us this charter.
Right.
And for us to finalize it. I know I have questions, like why, I personally don't like the 5 to 12 members, I'd like a set number.
Absolutely.
And so those sorts of things, but I think that we need to put this on our agenda coming up soon. And hopefully we can, well, I think you've given us a head start, and we can just review it with any other questions we might have. Put something together, and then hopefully we can get this started. So,
Absolutely.
Thank you all for the great work you've done.
Yep.
making our job a lot easier in the future. I
Right.
think, so.
Well,
Um,
the point is just to keep moving forward.
And so, did you have something, Jerry?
I just, yeah, that meeting on the 7th, would it be premature to have them, one of these folks, sit in on that just to sort of see how that whole process goes? Or is it, how?
It was a thought we had, wondering if, not knowing how the procedure would go this evening, if you guys were wanting to form this working group or not, or come back or whatever. It would be nice to maybe have someone at that table just to understand how that goes or how that works. But it's also understanding that we're forming.
So, I don't know if anybody has any thoughts. I have some, but
I wanna hear what your thoughts are.
so I'm hesitant only because I
Absolutely.
can't remember how we put it out, what we're doing. I suppose we could change it because it is our meeting. But my recommendation, what I would prefer is for you to send, you know, the 3 ideas that you had,
Right.
to Jerry, and then you can present those. And I don't know, probably send it to Jerry and John
Yep.
Talbot, and he can present those to us.
When would you like those? By, because this is May 7th, am I correct?
Right,
Yep.
The meeting is?
I would like them a half hour before the meeting at the latest.
I mean, I don't think,
You know how we work sometimes.
Well,
This is
right.
amazing.
I don't think it stops you from coming to
No,
the
no, no.
meeting,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Right.
what I was gonna say is
Yeah, I wanna be
come.
clear, I wanna be clear, I think we were trying to sort of limit it to.
Absolutely.
Because I think we had already said that there was at least one committee or that we wanted presented through another person, so. But I think presenting it that way will get to us, and we can work on that.
The day before would be
Right, okay, well, we will probably get them to you sooner than that,
Okay.
but, yeah, we will get those formulated.
And so, anything else that you have for us?
Not that I have at this point, I mean, you guys have the draft,
Yep.
so
Yep.
you kind of see what we're thinking and what we're interested in.
Any other- go ahead.
The more that we're going through this, I'm feeling more strongly about my position about it being established through us first, the way we did the other committees, just especially knowing what their intent is. Because I think it's hard, it'll be harder perhaps, where we form the solid waste committee and we give them no direction. And then months and months and months and months goes by, right? And then they want direction, they want direction, they want direction. Because ultimately, it ends up on our table as to whether, and with that being said, that's not to say that we don't want your input and your, because clearly, I'm not a farmer, and I
Right.
know nothing about what it is that you need to be able to do your job effectively.
Right.
But I am feeling like the correct process would be for us to establish this so that it falls in line with the way that the other structures have gone. But we can talk about that at our next meeting. Does
Yeah,
that seem appropriate?
I don't know what's on our next meeting, and so I
Okay.
don't wanna, Joe will be back, so I think he'll be setting up the agenda with Jerry. But, because this is in the land use ordinance, because I think it's important, I think it's setting a tone for how we're supporting the different industries, community within our community. I think it's important to get this started, and also, you know, invite others who wanna do something similar to do it, but I think that we should set this up, I agree. I think this shows us, this is how we should start these committees when we form them with.
Correct.
With a charter like this, unlike what we did with the solid waste, which was
Right.
kind of saying it and then putting it out there, so.
Right.
I mean, you saved us a lot of work, I appreciate that. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say and keep working with you
Well,
in
my
the
only
future.
question is it all right if we start getting people interested in being
Yes.
on this together and get them
Yep, so-
that, and what do you guys need for information for them?
So
Like,
there's,
how do we do that?
there's a I think it's a nomination form is what it's called, I can't remember, appointment form, thank you.
Appointment form?
Yeah, and so once the committee, is authorized by this board.
Right.
They'll be out on the website and the newsletter.
Town clerk, and it's appointment by municipal officer.
Yeah, and so there'll be a form, and there'll be a call for, is it a call for participation or participants? Thank you. And so at that point, we just ask people to apply.
Awesome.
And if we establish that, say, I'm just saying, going off what we did with solid waste, we have 5 committee members and 2 alternates. And if we
Right.
were to do the same thing with this committee, that's not to say that you can't have more participation or more people
Right,
at the table.
absolutely.
It would just be that your voting members
Right.
were that
Right.
establishment.
And I think, I know the 5 to 12 was kind of a shot in the dark, you know, because we had literally 20 people at the first meeting.
Which is great,
And
that's
it's like,
wonderful.
like, you know, a little surprising and at the same time, wonderful to see, right? So that's what we wanna see, so.
And if you can make our meeting on the 7th, even though
The-
maybe
yeah.
you won't have a seat at the table, I think it would be good for you to be there.
I would love to have one of us there just to kind of see the process and see how that goes going forward, because I'm assuming that this is something that will probably start happening every year?
Right.
Okay.
Oh, well, I'm saying right.
Well,
To me, yes.
I think,
Well, yes,
I think as long as Jerry's here, it's gonna be happening every year,
right.
so.
Great.
And then I also think it's worth noting maybe the administrative pieces that go along with the committee of
Absolutely.
agendas and meeting
Yes.
minutes, and we publicize the meeting times.
Right,
They're
that is all
open.
in that
Yeah.
charter of how, we understand that.
Yeah.
And it's more just us, that's why the thought of being at May 7th, like, not really organized yet.
Yeah, right.
Just felt like, I don't think to have someone there to see the process though, so we can start understanding more, so we can be a part of it from the get-go, would be great. So, awesome.
I think it's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being involved. Thank you very much.
I feel like I have my back to you when I'm looking over here, I'm sorry. All right,
Everyone, I felt like I wanted to get the public comment contact information. I feel like Ray left and the
I-
people that were here left, so.
I was going to ask Jessica if she could get that, because I had some questions too. So, just, the 2 gentlemen who spoke at the public comment, if you, the contact information if it's available. If you have, well, we can figure it out.
Yeah.
We can get it.
Yeah.
But,
Figure out the mic, so I didn't get.
okay, no, that's fine. Cause I
They're
was,
recorded,
I was,
so-
I was listening and not writing
I know,
down.
I wrote some stuff down. I got the names.
Okay.
I know
who
one
it
of
is.
them.
Okay.
I know both of them.
So Joe knows both.
Usually good at multitasking, but I was too busy listening. Then I remembered.
So I was trying to figure out
Okay.
during their comments, and I don't think that got on,
Oh, it didn't?
no.
Yeah, the volume wasn't working.
Yeah, something, we figured it out.
Okay.
These comments were.
Maybe we
That's
could
all right.
ask
We
for
could-
him to give us
to-
the statement.
Well, I wanted to reach out to ask if you could put that in writing so we could sort of address it later on.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because we do need to absorb
Because
those comments.
that was,
Heavy.
yeah, that was what I was gonna ask. So,
I don't know, it's new business. Is it appropriate to say just a suggestion about that, or is that not appropriate right now?
about,
Well, I just feel like I would like to preface the start of public comment with people that never come to our meetings and they don't necessarily know that it's not a back and forth exchange. It's hard for me to not acknowledge people when they come here and they're so passionate about something.
we can, I think we can find a way to do that. I agree, especially tonight, there were a couple, yes. All right. So I know it says manager report, but I think, Jerry, before we get to you, Jessica wanted to steal the show.
Yes.
Oh, I just want to report about the recount. So the recount, the results came out the same. So Stacy Howard was appointed as RC5 board member. So the count came out 179, Michael Osgood, 184, Stacy, 5 other write-ins, 12 blanks, and 11 ballots were disputed. So the disputed ballots get pulled out of the count, but they didn't affect the outcome, so.
Thank you, and thank you for all that hard work. I know it was a lot of hard work for you and your staff,
Yeah,
so.
it gets a little complicated because you balance between 21A and 30A on the recount because we don't have any policies or ordinances on recounts.
Don't get
So
Heather started.
noted.
Don't get Heather started.
Added
it to the list,
Where is that list?
right?
All right, Sherry, do you have anything to report?
Yeah, I have one thing. First of all, I'm back this week after a vacation.
Yes,
It was
welcome. How
very
was it?
nice.
That's good.
And when I got back, everything in the town office ran smoothly, and I think that just speaks to the staff. I had no issues when I came back. It was awesome, so just speaks to the staff that we have. And it's nice when you can step away for a few days and not have to worry. My phone didn't ring. It was really, really awesome. Great staff to work with, and they did do a good job. And a recount is tough, and it's a lot of high pressure, so good applaud to Jessica for doing a good job. We actually got an email from, was it the Republican Party? Saying what a wonderful job she did, because it's very much scrutinized. I mean, they're looking at it through a microscope, so all went well, so
Great.
she did
Thank you.
great. The only other thing I have, I got a letter today from the attorney, and he is retiring, and the firm is closing up shop. As of May 31st, we will have no more representation. So I've got an RFP ready to go. I did that, I worked on that today. What I basically did was I put it on the listserv. Does anybody have any RFPs for legal services? And I got a bunch, like 2 or 3 of them were the exact same. So I've got it all edited. It's ready to go. I think you folks should probably put an eyeball on it maybe before it goes out. It's up to you. A lot of the municipalities use it, pretty standard one. But we should probably do that if you want to look at it and have input, which I think you probably do. We should probably do that at the next meeting, so I can get that posted for a few weeks, get the proposals back. I mean, this is gonna take some time, and we may run past a little bit of the May 31st. We're already on the May 1st now, so if we post it for a couple weeks, get them back. I don't know how you're gonna wanna, if you're gonna wanna have them come in to do presentations. And this is something that we should definitely talk about at our next meeting, where I just got the letter today. And, but that's, we'll have to move on. We don't wanna be without representation for too long.
So does anybody, I have some comments, but before I do.
Yeah, you're a lawyer.
I feel like
Yeah.
this is your,
So
this is your strength, Josh. We'll let you take the lead on this one.
had I known you were back this week, I would have given you a heads up, because I just found out on Monday, well, yesterday was Monday, right? So, or Friday. To me, I think waiting is a mistake, and I think we should, I think we need to move forward. Well, let me ask this first. Are there any pending issues where the lawyer is involved that will be affected by his retirement?
The transfer of the Union Church,
Okay.
that's the only thing that's really pending, but
There are other things,
everything else is pretty, we have nothing else
okay.
other than that.
And that's something that
We can-
it would take me 15 minutes right now, because it's been so long since I've done one, but it wouldn't take him very long. So that's something that he can get done before he leaves.
Okay.
And I actually know, I found out by the attorney, by somebody else, and that attorney could also do it. So that doesn't concern me. That's just a form you can get anywhere. I think the state publishes one. But there's nothing else pending where we're in communication with the lawyer?
No,
Okay. I still think it's important for us to move forward, so, I think it's important for us to review the RFP. But I think it would be best if we did sort of an email vote or had a quick meeting, because to me, ideally, at the May 28th meeting, we would be having people come in and presenting, and we would be choosing, because I don't think waiting is a good idea.
right.
I just don't, because God forbid something happens, and we're stuck without an attorney, to me is, you know, as an individual, that's one thing, but as a town, I think it's a terrible, terrible idea.
Right.
And I'm not trying to drum up business for some attorney, but, that's something I've seen through experience. So I don't know how people feel.
I'm
Seems
comfortable with you sending it to us by email,
Okay.
and then how does it work? We respond only to you
Yep.
if we have any concerns, and then you share that with the rest of the board? Or is it because it's just administrative stuff, it doesn't count as a meeting if we correspond over email?
Yeah, we gotta be careful there, because then it's like considered a meeting if you're just at least discussing over email these things. There's gonna be some input from the board that needs to go into that proposal that I probably shouldn't be making.
Well, okay, so let me.
Most
let
of,
me-
and it's very little, I mean, but still, it should be information that you folks put in the RFP.
If you sent it, and then when we meet on May 7th, could we just quickly address that May 7th?
That was gonna be my next suggestion, and I think what I would put in there is something about how the board would hope to have a presentation on the services at its May 28th meeting, so that's there and known to them.
In the RFP.
Yeah, and then you could put in, you know, if you're not available, that doesn't disqualify you or whatever, we could work on language like that, but,
Okay,
but that's something, I think if you send it to us and we have, a short business meeting before, the workshop on the 7th.
okay.
I think, to me, you can do it on the 8th, you can do 2 weeks and have people here on the 28th, or, you know, at least in the first meeting in June, so we're only going a couple of weeks.
Okay, let's just sort of map this out, okay, just to make sure we're.
Do we wanna say like business meeting at 6, and then everybody else is coming at 6:30 on the 7th? Can people be here at 6 o'clock on the 7th?
Joe can't, he's too busy working, I think, right? That's fine with me, is that,
Check my
It
schedule.
works, yes, it works for me.
and I know that,
Yeah.
Joe Roy's usually here by 6-ish,
Yeah.
so I'm assuming it's gonna be okay with them, so.
Okay, so I can get a draft of the RFP out to you tomorrow, okay? And I'll try to make it as easy for you as possible, where I'll highlight in yellow where I think you folks need to have input into the RFP. So if you get that back to me, you know, say at the end of the week or Monday, then I can throw it out on MMA. I have a list of firms and attorneys from the Maine Municipal Association. Maybe we could send them the RFP directly to those folks. I would, you know, some of them.
So we'll get it back to you on Tuesday the 7th, because that's when we'll have our business meeting to talk.
Okay, sorry, so
Is that
Tuesday. yeah,
right?
Okay, that works. All right, so you get it back to me, so I'll post it the next day, like on the 8th, 9th. If we do it 2 weeks, then they're gonna get it back. That's only gonna give them 3 or 4 days to schedule to come here on the 28th. So that might be a little tight.
We can add, well, I mean, we'll work on language.
Okay,
And when I see it, I'll give you some language that I would use. But I think most of these firms are representing multiple municipalities, so a
Yes.
presentation is going to be fairly simple.
yes, it should be, because it was interesting that the 5 or 6 that I got back, 2 or 3 of them were the exact same RFP from municipalities, so it's a common.
Yeah,
So, all
yeah,
right.
so I don't think these firms are gonna have a hard time
Yeah,
coming up with something.
okay,
I haven't met a lawyer that doesn't like to talk yet, so it'll be fine.
okay, that sounds good, yeah, so you'll expect to get that tomorrow before they close up business, and then we'll go from there.
We may want to look at that bylaw draft, because really there should be a paragraph in there about this type of thing. Is there email voting, can you not, you have to get, you know?
Right,
That's-
right,
Because when that question came up today, if we had the bylaws and they were complete, we would be able to see the guidance for us in
Yep.
that, so.
right, yeah. I know in some, you know, meetings and groups, you can proxy vote like that. I'm not sure about select boards, though, can you?
I think we've done it in the past.
Yeah, okay,
My understanding was that if it was related to administrative stuff,
yeah,
then we were allowed to do that. But if it was anything that was other than administrative stuff, it had to happen
Like a
in
policy
an
or
open
something.
public.
Oh, it's probably already written in one of the,
I think it's state statute.
yeah.
It's governed by
But
that, like by
I think-
I'll
FOA
look
stuff.
into it.
I think the way we're doing it, should give them, or instead of giving them 14 days, you give them 10 days.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can just put, be prepared to present on the 28th, select board meeting. Yep.
All right, anything else?
No, that's all I got for the couple days that I've been here.
All right, thank you.
Are we allowed to ask Jerry a question?
You, if we do it in the board report,
Okay, that
I
works.
think that's a more appropriate place to do it.
Okay, it was about a report that we got,
Oh,
and so I didn't know if that's.
then that, yes, then that
Okay.
you can, yes.
Okay, so my question was, we got our monthly code enforcement officer report. And I believe it said that it's not in front of me and I apologize. I think that it said that there were 4 single house, building permits issued. And that the total amount for construction was $568,000. And so my question was, 4 new houses in Durham for $568,000 in terms of building costs doesn't really make sense.
Okay.
And so my question is just, can we get an explanation of how you arrive at that number with that many building permits? Please. That's it.
Okay. Any board member reports? I'll start over here. I really feel like I have my back to you. I don't like.
is that your report?
I'm gonna sit over there from now on, so.
I'm good.
No? Heather?
What if I slid this
No,
down?
you're fine,
Okay,
you're
okay,
fine.
okay. Or, and then maybe Debbie came around
No,
over
no,
here, so there
I
was
don't
2
want her to
people
move.
there
No,
and 2
she's
people
fine.
here. We'll figure it out for the next meeting.
It'll
I
be
do not
Joe's
have,
fault,
I don't have a board member report.
Joe?
I'm good.
So am I. Consent agenda, is there, a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. We'll sign those in a second, cause there's a lot. And upcoming meetings, the planning board meeting tomorrow night, it's a continuation of their April 10th, 2024 meeting. I believe that's gonna be 6:30 here. They also have a meeting on May 1st, 6:30 here.
Sorry.
The select board is having, its business meeting at 6 PM and a workshop at 6:30 on May 7th, and a regularly scheduled meeting on May 14th. The May 14th meeting will start at 6:30 here. And then I know there's been some questions online, bulky waste day, May 18th at Public Works from 8 AM to 1 PM. And I assume it's gonna run the same as it has, and
Yes.
no new announcements about that?
Nope.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All those in favor? Did we do that for the consent agenda? I can't remember now. But anyway,
Did we
we
do
are
that?
adjourned.
We did a motion for the consent agenda.
Did we,
Yep.
did we
Yeah.
vote on it?
Yep.
Did I just forget about it already?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been that kind of a
Good.
day. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I forgot.